recovery and that kind of stuff? Were you at health wise?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm back to walking, which has been great. I'm kind of getting sick of the crutches, so it's been good to walk and do a little bit of squat and movement, so it's going along really well.
What has this experience been like for you so far, and what are you hoping to improve this week?
Yeah, I think, while I may be a little bit, limited physically, I think for me it's, what really matters is the tape, and if you watch my tape, I think my production and, what I've achieved on the field should speak for itself.
What will you be able to do this week?
Right now, just kind of interviews and, talking to teams and interviewing, so pretty much keep it there.
Will you bench or anything?
No, I'm not going to go to bench.
When do you hope to be 100%?
Probably around training camp would be great for me. But I know that's on the team's timeline, so whoever drafts me, it's going to be up to them.
How do you prepare for the pre-draft process? So, the physical part of it's a big thing, but also you could make a big impact interview-wise. How do you prepare for the interviews in the process too?
Yeah, so since I couldn't do any of the physical stuff, all the interviews became my Super Bowl. So all I did was I would watch my film. I'm looking over every single team and looking at their defensive line, what they do, their schemes, and maybe possible free agents coming up. So really just trying to understand the game. I even learned some of the coverage stuff, which is great. So Jack Kaiser would hop on a call with me, and we go over cover 3 and stuff. So it was great.
Fun Joe Alt stories going against him in practice or anything like with him?
Fun Joe Alt story. I feel like every time we went, usually it would just be we would line up for one-on-ones back when I was an edge, and he'd look at me, he's like, "You're going power?" And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go power. And then we just kind of go from there.
You kind of broke out this year, especially, I think you led the team in sacks. So what was it kind of like to have to go through the process of getting injured in the playoff game and kind of being apart from your team while you're, kind of going through something?
Yeah, it was tough at first. Definitely not ideal. But, that's part of the game. That's the risk you play every time you're out there. So when it happened, one thing I pride myself on is I feel like a lot of guys would just remove themselves and kind of stayed away. But, the week after my surgery, I rented an RV and drove down 24 hours to the Orange Bowl just so I could be around the guys. And it kind of forced me to become more of a leader off the field and, really try to put myself out there and lead guys without, actually being out there and proving on the field. So, it was great kind of help those guys. And obviously, they had a great run in the national championship. And you saw a lot of people, they stepped up. So I'm just glad I was able to be a part of it and still help the team.
Some of your teammates talked about FaceTiming you from the locker room after wins and stuff like that. What are some of the things they did to kind of keep you involved too?
Yeah, so definitely after the game, they FaceTimed me. I got to cheer in the locker room with them, which is great because I wasn't allowed to fly for a couple of days. But even around practice, I would try to be around the guys, try to go to some meetings, and go out to some practices once I was able to walk a little bit better. And even during the games, I would sit down and talk to some of the younger guys and just ask them what they're seeing and what they're kind of feeling right now, and try to just give any help I could.
Even with the injury, what do you think you're able to show teams through the first 13 games or so that kind of you can use during this process?
Yeah, from those games, I think I can show production, which is a big part during the season. My sack numbers I think I led all defensive interiors in sacks, so obviously it's going to speak for itself. I think also just showing my knowledge of the game and that I'm someone who understands the whole defense. I got to play an outgoal in this defense, so I'm pretty much NFL ready when it comes to the playbook. So I just try to showcase that and really just put my best foot forward.
Rylie, you mentioned that drive to go watch the game. Did you have anybody with you? What was that experience like?
Yeah, so I had my girlfriend, my parents, and my uncle's a firefighter, so he drove the RV.
Okay.
So it was close quarters. We got to hang out a lot, got to get real close, but it was good. I mean, I just kind of sat there, so I didn't really do too much, but it was great. I was just happy to get there and be around the guys because after watching the Georgia game, the Sugar Bowl, I was just told myself, I can't sit here and watch another one on TV, so I just had to get down there in person.
One of your former teammates, Devontae Dean-Baptiste, went through this process last year. What do you remember about playing alongside him?
Pardon?
Devontae Dean-Baptiste.
Yeah.
What do you remember What do you remember about him?
Yeah, I just think Javonte was a guy who, when he first came out in spring ball, I was we were this dude's a freak. His get off was insane, and he was a really smart player. He knew exactly, technique-wise what to do, and he'd been coached really well. So he kind of came in our room and he took over and, was a leader for the young guys. Even for guys like me, I got to hear about his experience in Ohio State, and we got out there and he was someone who, he dominated, went out there and played really well, and you can obviously see it translate this year. I mean, he had a couple sacks and was in the rotation.
Appreciate it.
You're down here with Howard Cross too, guy you played with for a long time. You guys are kind of different body types, obviously. What do you think he kind of could bring to an NFL team?
Yeah, I think Howard's going to be someone who's super explosive. He's really an instinctual player, so obviously playing with him, I think we work great together because he's super twitchy and will go in and out. And for me, I'm just going to try to run through you. So I think we complement each other really well. But he's a guy that's going to go out and I know teams are going to look at his film for the past 2 years, and he's a great player.
Notre Dame's going to need some younger guys to step up with you guys both being here at defensive tackle. Who are some guys to maybe look out for that maybe didn't play as much last year, but you think showed some potential in practice?
Yeah, I think there's some of the odd, like, Donovan Heinisch, he's going to be a baller. Josh Burnham. I think some guys look. Armel Mukum is a great player. Devin Houston are going to be guys that are going to step up in that D tackle room. Jason Anye. I think the great thing is we had so much depth in there, and those guys understand the standard of Notre Dame that when they get out there, they're going to go and play. And you saw it in the national championship run. As soon as I went down, or Jordan Botelho went down, or Boubacar, like we had guys that stepped in and played at a high level.
Going all the way back to high school days, what was it like, your relationship with Coach Spagnoli, playing for Lake Forest? What are some of your best memories from high school growing up?
For sure. I think the best memory would be Parkside. We would go to Wisconsin and do like some 2-day practices and stay at the college. And there it's just like everyone's getting to know each other. And it's really like where the team became the team. So I always loved my time there, and especially with Coach Spagnoli, it was fun.
Have you stayed in touch with him through the years and as you go through this process toward the NFL?
Yeah, he's going to a couple games, and then he'll text me every now and then. We'll chat and just catch about how he's doing and how I'm doing. So I know he's doing really well right now.
And then you also have that Lake Forest connection on top of the Notre Dame connection with Tommy Rees, who's now the Browns offensive coordinator. Have you gotten the chance to talk with the Browns at all? Is that a potential destination that interests you?
Yeah, I've definitely chat with some of their guys. I know it's fun. It's fun seeing the guys on the team last year that are now working with the scouts. Like Mike Moon is up there, and then Coach Ronnie's up there. So it's great to see those guys, and it's always fun just to kind of talk about last year and how they're doing now.
Speaking of teams that studying and filling in spots, Bears need defensive linemen. You're a Chicago area kid. What would it mean to maybe fill in a spot there, kind of work your way up the same way you did in Notre Dame, production-wise?
Yeah, I mean I grew up around the Chicagoland area, so I was a Bears fan growing up. So I'd love to help the team and go out and contribute. For me, it's kind of like, look, I know I'm rehabbing this right now, but if you just look at the level of play you're going to get, it's going to be fresh legs. So hopefully we'll get that postseason soon.
With some of that maybe downtime you had because of the injury, I know you were a big music guy back in the day, stuff like that. Is there anything you use as an outlet to kind of fill the time or kind of take your mind off things?
Yeah, I've recently just started becoming a little bit more like independent. So I've been trying to cook a lot, which has been great. And then with that, it's just kind of like that stuff was all in South Bend, so I had to go rehab out in California. It was I didn't have a chance, but it's been good. I'm trying to keep my time occupied really with just the rehab process and getting to know the teams and the draft process.
Where are you rehabbing out in California?
Proactive Sports.
Who's guided you to be more independent?
Well, really my family and stuff, and my girlfriend. They've helped me out a ton.
Really?
Yeah.
What do they just what bug do they put in your ear?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they're just always trying to help me out, and then once I'm able to do stuff, they don't coddle me. So it's like as soon as I can get up, they're like, all right, you're good. You can get out. You can get out of bed.
What do they say to you?
They tell me just like once I can do something, like, oh, you don't need my help anymore. You're good. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, where is this? You know where it is. What are you asking for?
Pardon?
Well, if you ask a question, well, where is this? Well, you know where it is. But go get it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I get it's. Yeah, on my days of being coddled after the first week, it's like, hey, you can get up and walk around and figure it out.
That's what it sounds like. Sounds like the family is making a united front here with you.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you gotta toughen me up somehow, so it's been good.
Wow. Surprising.
When you think back on those Lake Forest days, I mean, do you ever just sort of, as you're going through this process, kind of put that into perspective of just how far you've come and like where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I try to stay where my feet are.
Yeah.
But it is cool to think back, when I started like my first day of football practice when I was in 4th grade, and then going through Lake Forest and just be like, hey, I want to play on the varsity team, and then now being here, it's pretty surreal just to be here and have this experience.
Kind of with that back in the day, you used to be shot put, track and field, was discus. Do you feel like any of that translates into being a defensive lineman, or not really any of those skills go over?
Yeah, you got to use your hips and be explosive. So I think it helped. I wish I did it for a couple more years. I only did it my senior year, but yeah, it definitely translates.
With this process, I know there's a big medical part. What's that been like for you, kind of coming off the injury? Is that what a lot of the teams are asking about? And
yeah, that's pretty major questions like what's my timeline and how I'm doing. And for me, I've been doing great. My leg's strong. I'm walking around, so I'm just lucky to be in this position. And the great part is I can kind of go back and show what player I was. And I know going through Notre Dame, I'm going to go great through the rehab process and come out of this even stronger.
what was the injury?
It was an ACL tear.
Okay.
What advice would you give to other high-level athletes like currently dealing with injury?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like you got to stay one day at a time. Anytime you want to sit there and think about the future or the past or what could happen, it's easy to get down on yourself. But if you kind of just fall in love with the process and set small goals, it really kind of helps you, get there and rehab a little bit and just kind of stay in the present.
How have, would you say, the Lake Bluff, Lake Forest communities shaped you as a person, as a football player? What does that community mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm from, so all those people help me. I still have great connections out there, and I talk to a lot of Lake Bluff, Lake Forest people all the time, so it's awesome, and it's great, be able to go back and forth and talk about, growing up there, and it's just a great area, and there's great people.